Ari, this is Natalie, and this is our baby Paxton. And we're making these videos, well, this video first, but there'll be some subsequent videos so that we can help kind of pay it forward and teach you guys all the things that we've learned, unfortunately, through 2 pregnancy losses and then our journey through IVF.
So a little background. So we got pregnant in 2018 with our first baby, Drayton, and then we ended up losing that pregnancy in the 2nd trimester, and we did a whole bunch of tests afterwards. Baby was genetically fine and everything else was essentially fine. We'll talk about more of that in a different video, but we then I kind of had to beg my OB to run further tests and get referred to MFM, where they then did a test and diagnosed me with a blood clotting disorder. It didn't really meet the requirements for the disorder. We'll get into all those details in another video, but basically they semi-diagnosed me with something and said that any subsequent pregnancy I would have to be on a baby aspirin, as well as soon as I was pregnant, on an anticoagulant. Fast forward, we got pregnant after losing Drayton 4 months later. We found out on a Sunday, go figure. And we, called the on-call nurse because we wanted to get, on the anticoagulant immediately. The on-call nurse didn't really, they said she couldn't do anything, we needed to go to urgent care, so there's an OB urgent care that we went to. They didn't really feel comfortable starting us on anything, so they said just wait until Monday till you can talk to your OB, so we waited till Monday. On Monday, OB said she didn't feel comfortable following MFM's protocol and didn't want to start us on the anticoagulant until we got further along in the pregnancy and saw a heartbeat on the ultrasound. So we waited to that moment and went in a couple of weeks later, and there was no heartbeat. So at that point we kind of got frustrated, one, because our OB didn't really follow MFM's guidelines, and then we just felt that she kind of just pushed everything along and said, our first loss was a fluke, and then when we had the second loss, it was kind of like, oh, another fluke. And we didn't like that, so that's when we said, okay, we're done. We need to just find something completely different, and that's when we said, okay, let's just talk to a reproductive endocrinologist and kind of get their perspective, see if they would run any tests, and then if you want.
So we finally, just like she said, made the decision to go and try and find an RE. And there's a couple in Charlotte, so we live in Charlotte. There's one that advertises heavily, and then there's another one that's a lesser known office. So we really didn't like the idea that there was an office that advertised a whole bunch. It just kind of seemed a bit odd. And from all of our experiences, kind of sitting down with all the doctors through the 2 losses, we kind of knew what we wanted just from a provider standpoint. So we got lucky. We called, and I travel a lot. So, well, I traveled a lot before all COVID happened, but so I traveled a lot. So it kind of just relegated us to Friday appointments, and that obviously makes it difficult, especially when you're trying to get into an office that's already jammed packed. So we called and tried to make an appointment. Basically, they kind of told us, yep, we really don't have anything, but we got on a cancellation list, and it just so happened, I don't remember whether it was like a Thursday or something like that when I got home early or something.
On a Monday, I think.
Maybe it was a Monday before a trip, and we got lucky and we were able to go in. So if you don't know Natalie, she has binders of information, both from, and this was even before the losses, she had basically binders of information put together to pretty much just catalog everything that happened in her life and her mother's pregnancy, and both with her and her brother. And we tried to do the same with me, but I don't think we had anywhere near as much information. So we went in and sat down with the doctor, and we were fully prepared to just go through the gamut with him, to just run him through every bit of the story. And so we sat down, and he said, why are you here? I think that was exactly what he asked, why are you here? So Natalie started to get emotional. She started trying to tell the whole story, and then I jumped in and started trying to kind of cover for her. And the doctor looked at us and was like, I don't really care about any of that. He's like, why are you here? And we're like, well, what do you mean? We're trying to tell you the story. He's like, well, I read your file. Meanwhile, all the other doctors that we had experience with, none of them had ever read the file. In fact, in most cases, they didn't remember from one appointment to the next, kind of what we talked about. So here's a guy who we'd never met before and had actually done his research, and really all he cared to ask were a couple of questions about Natalie in general and her mother's pregnancies and things like that. And it came up in discussion that both Natalie and her brother were very small babies. Like, well, how big were you?
Like 4 pounds.
Yeah.
We were both 4 pounds.
So really, really tiny. And the doctor said, okay, I think I want to test for one more thing. And honestly, I don't even think he told us what he was testing for, because he knew of the kind of weird, iffy diagnosis with her blood clotting disorder before. And we had already hit our max out of pocket, so we really didn't even question it. He just ran the test, and what was it, like maybe a week later? He called and he diagnosed her with some sort of really rare genetic blood clotting disorder. So here we are, a guy who we had never really met before. Well, we had never met him before, and just one discussion with him had diagnosed her with something, and definitively told us kind of a course of action that we would need to be on with any subsequent pregnancies. Did not push IVF on us one bit. In fact, he told us, you got pregnant twice before, you don't really need any help getting pregnant. It just appears that you might have something that's making it difficult for you to carry the pregnancy, which now in this case, we kind of had some sort of definitive answer, hopefully, that would kind of solve that problem anyway. So at that point, we kind of knew, I think Natalie knew at the beginning that I think she wanted to go through IVF. So we kind of decided we thought that it would help us anxiety-wise.
Yeah.
But did it? I don't know.
I mean, maybe a little, and we can talk about all that too, but I think for us the big thing was with him traveling so much, as he mentioned, obviously you need to time things in order to get pregnant, and it's just a lot when he travels and you're looking at a calendar trying to figure out, when does he need to be home and things like that, whereas with IVF, I mean, it's all, you plan the date so he knows, okay, I can't travel during this time, and then it's just all more set in stone and it doesn't fluctuate. And I think it took that part out, and I think even the doctor said, it will take away that anxiety of it, that you don't have to, have a calendar, telling you when to try for a baby. And also, after, we lost Drayton, and I know that that's a common thing, that people who experience losses have is, I knew, I should have, what would it have been? We saw him in June, so I should have had, a 3-month-old at that time. And in my head, even if I got pregnant instantly, I was already behind. I already didn't have, my 3-month-old. You can't obviously go back in time. And so IVF was kind of the thing that we knew that, there's more control. And so, we felt that if we picked, a good team of doctors, that we can get pregnant and get our baby, sooner rather than later. And that's why, I was, kind of gung-ho on, let's do IVF. Even before we chose IVF, I mean, I was even down the route, I didn't even care, if we adopted or did anything, I just wanted a baby immediately. But ultimately, then after meeting with him, he made us feel really comfortable, so we ended up, deciding, okay, let's do it, let's pursue IVF, and then, the whole thing kind of went quickly after that, moving forward.
We just had to figure out cost-wise and how to make things as affordable as possible, and again, the timing and everything like that, but that's really why we're going to try and make these videos, to help everybody understand not only the process, but also kind of the steps that either you should take or you should avoid in general.
Yeah, and just little tips and things that we learned along the way that, or things that we learned after that we kind of wish we would have known, or things that we did that worked for us and that we think, might help others. And yeah, so that's kind of what these videos will be about, and we'll always try to keep them short, one, because we can't do long videos with the little one, and two, because no one wants to listen to us talk for longer than 10 minutes. But yeah, so we hope that, you know, you find these helpful, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
And if you have any questions, I guess you can put them in the comments below.
Yes.